The pungent scent of diesel and salt air mingled as Mira Koh stepped off the cargo ship onto the bustling docks of Singapore. Her legs wobbled slightly, unaccustomed to solid ground after weeks at sea. As a marine biologist specializing in deep-sea organisms, Mira was used to long stretches on research vessels. But this particular voyage had been anything but routine. It started innocently enough cataloging bioluminescent creatures in the Mariana Trench. Mira and her small team had been thrilled when their remotely operated vehicle captured footage of a previously undiscovered species of anglerfish. But as they reviewed the high-definition video back on the ship, something caught Mira's eye. In the murky background, barely visible, was what appeared to be a humanoid figure. At first, Mira dismissed it as a trick of the light or pareidolia, the tendency to see familiar shapes in random patterns. But the more she analyzed the footage, the more convinced she became that they had inadvertently filmed something extraordinary and potentially terrifying. Within days of reporting their find to the proper authorities, Mira's entire team was reassigned. The official story was that dangerous levels of radiation had been detected in their samples, necessitating immediate quarantine and decontamination. But Mira knew this was a lie. She had run the tests herself. There was no radiation. As the days stretched into weeks with no word on when they would be released, Mira realized she had stumbled onto something big, something powerful people wanted to keep hidden. And now those same people were going to great lengths to ensure her silence. So she did the only thing she could think of. She escaped. Using her knowledge of the ship's systems and the cover of a raging storm, Mira managed to slip away undetected when they docked for supplies in Singapore. Now she was on the run in a foreign country with nothing but the clothes on her back and the encrypted data drive hidden in her shoe. Mira knew she had to get the footage analyzed by someone she could trust. Someone with the expertise to confirm what she suspected, that they had captured evidence of intelligent life at the bottom of the ocean. But who could she turn to? And how long before her pursuers caught up with her? As she wove through the crowded streets, Mira's mind raced. She needed a secure place to lay low and plan her next move. Somewhere off the grid where she could access the internet without leaving a digital trail. The answer came to her suddenly. Her old college roommate, Jen, ran an electronics repair shop in the city. If anyone could help her, it was Jen. Finding the tiny storefront tucked away in a run-down strip mall took longer than Mira anticipated. By the time she pushed open the door, the sun was setting and her nerves were frayed. The bell above the door jingled cheerfully, a discordant sound given the gravity of her situation. Jen's eyes widened in surprise as she recognized her unexpected visitor. Before Mira could explain, Jen was ushering her into the back room and locking the door. "I saw the news," Jen said quietly. "They're saying you're wanted for industrial espionage. What's really going on?" Over the next hour, Mira recounted everything that had happened. As she spoke, Jen's expression grew increasingly troubled. When Mira finished, Jen was silent for a long moment. "This is big," she said finally. "Bigger than you realize. I have some contacts who might be able to help, but it's going to be dangerous. Are you sure you want to pursue this?" Mira nodded without hesitation. She had come too far to back down now. Whatever was lurking in the depths of the ocean, the world deserved to know the truth, even if it meant putting her own life on the line. With Jen's help, Mira was able to access the data drive and begin analyzing the footage. As they pored over the images frame by frame, a chill ran down Mira's spine. The figure was unmistakably humanoid, but with proportions all wrong for any known deep-sea diver. Its limbs were impossibly long and jointed in ways that defied human anatomy, and its eyes, 3 of them, glowed with an otherworldly bioluminescence. As they worked late into the night, Mira became aware of a prickling sensation at the back of her neck. She glanced up to see Jen staring out the window with a look of alarm. "We need to go," Jen said urgently. "Now." They barely had time to grab the laptop and data drive before the sound of breaking glass shattered the silence. Dark figures swarmed into the shop, their faces obscured by high-tech masks. Mira's heart pounded as Jen led her through a hidden door and into a maze of back alleys. They ran until their lungs burned, ducking into shadows whenever they heard footsteps approaching. Finally, Jen pulled Mira into a decrepit building that seemed to be abandoned. As they caught their breath, Mira realized they were in some kind of old factory or warehouse. "We should be safe here for now," Jen whispered. "But we need to get this information out to the public before they silence us for good. I have an idea, but you're not going to like it." Jen's plan was audacious and more than a little terrifying. They would use the building's old industrial equipment to jury-rig a makeshift broadcasting station. With Jen's technical skills and Mira's scientific knowledge, they might just be able to transmit the footage and their findings to every screen in the city. As they worked feverishly through the night, Mira couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Strange noises echoed through the cavernous space, scraping sounds and odd, gurgling vocalizations that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Just before dawn, they were ready. With trembling hands, Mira initiated the broadcast. For several heart-stopping moments, nothing happened. Then suddenly, every electronic billboard and television in sight flickered to life with images from the Mariana Trench. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Traffic screeched to a halt as drivers gaped at the screens. Pedestrians crowded around storefronts, pointing and shouting. And in the distance, Mira could hear the wail of approaching sirens. But something else was happening too. As the broadcast continued, the strange noises in the warehouse grew louder and more frequent. Mira and Jen exchanged worried glances. Had they inadvertently summoned something with their transmission? Before they could react, the floor beneath their feet began to tremble. Hairline cracks spread across the concrete, water seeping through. The gurgling sounds intensified, taking on an almost gleeful quality. And then, with a deafening roar, the floor gave way entirely. Mira found herself plunging into icy darkness, surrounded by rushing water and the unmistakable sensation of something massive moving beneath her. As she struggled to stay afloat, her hand brushed against something smooth and organic and definitely not human. In that moment of terror and awe, Mira realized the truth. The creatures from the deep weren't content to stay hidden any longer. Humanity's reckless exploitation of the oceans had awakened something ancient and powerful, and now they were coming to reclaim what was rightfully theirs. As Mira was pulled deeper into the watery abyss, her last conscious thought was a mix of fear and exhilaration. She had sought to uncover the secrets of the deep, never imagining she would become part of those secrets herself. Whatever happened next, the world would never be the same. In the days that followed, reports flooded in from coastal cities around the globe. Strange creatures emerging from the seas, entire beaches disappearing overnight, and always, the sound of that otherworldly gurgling, a sound that would come to haunt humanity's dreams for generations to come. Governments scrambled to respond, but it quickly became clear that this was unlike any threat they had ever faced. How do you fight an enemy that controls 2/3 of the planet's surface? An enemy with technology and abilities beyond human comprehension? As panic gripped the world's population, a select few began to receive messages. Scientists, environmental activists, those who had long advocated for the protection of the oceans, they were being contacted. The entities from the deep were not interested in wholesale destruction. They wanted to negotiate. Their terms were simple. Humanity would need to radically change its relationship with the oceans. No more overfishing. No more pollution. No more deep-sea mining or oil drilling. In exchange, they offered to share their advanced technology and knowledge. It was Mira who emerged as the key intermediary in these negotiations. Having survived her plunge into the abyss, she returned changed, able to breathe underwater and communicate telepathically with the ocean dwellers. She became the bridge between two worlds, working tirelessly to foster understanding and cooperation. The transition was not easy. There were those who resisted, unable to accept the new reality. Conflicts erupted, lives were lost. But gradually, a new equilibrium was reached. Humanity learned to live in harmony with the oceans and its inhabitants, ushering in an unprecedented era of peace and technological advancement. And Mira? She split her time between land and sea, never quite belonging fully to either world. But as she swam through the luminous depths alongside her new allies, she felt a sense of purpose and belonging she had never known before. The mystery she had uncovered had not only changed the world, it had transformed her very existence. Years later, as Mira watched the first human ocean dweller hybrid children playing on a beach, she reflected on the long, strange journey that had brought her to this point. The world was far from perfect, but it was evolving in ways she could never have imagined. And somewhere in the vast, mysterious depths of the ocean, new wonders were waiting to be discovered. As the sun set over the water, painting the sky in brilliant hues, Mira smiled. The greatest adventure of her life, of humanity's collective life, was only just beginning, and she couldn't wait to see what mysteries the future would hold.